Today, what we would like to do is we're going to do a little bit of Inception thing where we react to somebody reacting to the throne speech. This gentleman, Tyler, he has a whole channel devoted to being an everyday American who is learning about Canada. And so he decided to react to the throne speech, and there were some of the questions that he had as he was going through. I wanted to keep typing comments to answer him, and then finally I thought, let's just do a video. We will provide some of the answers as well as some reaction to some of the things that he says. So, Grace, did you want to kind of give us a little bit of context around what we're about to watch?
Sure. So, as most Canadians know by now, the speech from the throne is actually a speech that's thrown together by the actual sitting government. And that may be a newly elected government or just a new session of parliament. And the speech from the throne is normally given by the Governor General, and the Governor General of Canada is actually appointed by the Prime Minister. Now, Mary Simon, our current Governor General, was the first Indigenous Governor General that we've had. She is from the Yukon, I think, Yukon or Northwest Territories. I can't remember. But, anyways, and her mother tongue is Inuktitut, which I think is pretty cool. But anyway, because of what is going on in the world right now, as far as what's going on between Canada and the US, Mark
What's Trump
Carney,
up to? Let's just say it.
what?
Let's just say it. What Trump's up to?
Yeah, what Trump's up to. Um, what Mark Carney did is when he became prime minister, but before he called the election, as everyone knows, he went to visit the UK. He went to visit France. He went to visit the UK. He visited with the President Macron in France, and he visited with Prime Minister Keir Starmer in the UK. And he also had an audience with His Majesty King Charles III. Now, what was said during that meeting, no one knows, or at least didn't know until now, at least in small part, because it became apparent when Prime Minister Carney announced after the election that he had requested that King Charles actually come to Canada to deliver the speech from the throne in person. This is the first time that this has happened since Queen Elizabeth II opened Parliament in 1977. And then prior to that, she was also the first one to actually, the actual monarch coming to Canada to deliver the throne speech in 1957. And she was a brand new queen at that point. So it has been almost 50 years since a sitting monarch has visited Canada to deliver the speech from the throne. And that is what Prime Minister Carney did. Is he requested it of King Charles, and King Charles said, "Sure, let's do this." So it was a whirlwind trip for him. He
No, I
arrived.
think I think he probably said, "Yo, bro, no problem. I got you."
But anyways, yeah. So King Charles and Queen Camilla arrived on like Monday after, like early Monday afternoon, and then they flew out almost immediately, like early Tuesday afternoon. So they were here for like 24 hours or less. So it was a very quick trip for them. But also keeping in mind, King Charles is not well. He is currently still undergoing treatment for cancer, and as awful as the thought that it is, this may well be his last visit to Canada. And for it to be such uh, a big visit for him, like the reason for him being here, I'm glad that he was able to make one last trip. Hopefully, I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I
Yeah.
hope he's able to make many more trips, but you know,
I was thinking today that he started the job of king 5 years after most people retire.
yeah, yeah.
Is he
Well,
77 or
no one
something?
expected the Queen to last till age 97. I mean, good grief.
And to not hand it off to him, which I think she could have done. But anyway,
She could have.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think it was great that he came, and there was a lot that happened before this speech. The speech was on the second day, and after the speech, they laid a wreath for the war memorial, and then they were gone. Uh,
Mhm.
they had only come in the day before, but during the day before, they were busy with different community events. And then they had an audience with the governor general, with the prime minister. Like it was jam packed. And I'm thinking, like, that's a lot for anybody, never mind a 77-year-old who's in the midst of cancer treatment. But he did a great job. And
Yeah.
also, I think it's important to realize that before this speech, there was a great deal of pomp and circumstance. The battalions were there. He inspected the guards. We had a 21 gun salute. They arrived in this state
State
Landau.
Landau, yeah.
The,
And, I mean, it was wild. It was wild. I mean, it's the kind of pomp and circumstance that the Brits are known for.
yeah, yeah. And I quite enjoyed it.
Oh, so did I. I quite enjoyed it.
This speech from the throne will not be something that makes Alberta leaders happy.
Oh,
Um,
no, not at all.
makes a lot of Albertans happy, but not our political leaders.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, with no further ado, we are going to go to Tyler's video. We are not going to be watching the entire video. We're only going to be commenting on pieces of it. So, I really encourage you to go and check out his video, watch it in whole, and give him a little bit of love. I love Tyler's videos. They're quite funny sometimes. About makes you realize how everybody lives in their bubbles. So, okay, let me go here. Okay, so this is a couple of minutes in, and let's go.
Here today,
Yeah,
as we witness Canadians coming together in a renewed sense of national pride, unity, and hope.
that's right. That's right. Canadian election just happened. New government.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there, and I am going to put up, let me see here. Yeah, here it is. No, that's not it. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to put up a counter because later on in the video, Tyler says they haven't mentioned the US. And I was just giggling because from this very moment, he starts off mentioning the US. But if you're not used to listening and interpreting British and Canadian
And royal.
and royal talk, like it will go right above your head. By him saying a renewed sense of unity, or how did he put that? Renewed sense of pride, unity, and hope. He is referring to Trump. He is referring to this sense of unity that has come about in Canada because of what Trump is doing. So he's already mentioned Trump, even though,
Not by name, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'll just continue this.
I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded territory of the Algonquin and the Shinabeg people.
Okay, pause
Oh,
that for a
okay.
sec.
This land
That one line probably sent the separatists and the UCP right over the edge because he specifically says unceded territory. And what was Bill C-54 all about? Trying to buy off the Indigenous so that Alberta can separate, or
Yep.
ignoring the Indigenous and their treaties.
Well, and it's really interesting because Tyler makes a comment at one point during the video. It really struck him the amount of importance and respect we gave to the Indigenous people. So hang on to some of those thoughts.
acknowledgement is a recognition of shared history as a nation, while continuing to deepen my own understanding. It is my great hope that in each of your communities,
Oh, look, it even looks like in the audience here, you got a lot of like representatives from the Canadian, Indigenous Canadians or First Nations Canadians. Man, wouldn't it kind of suck to be in this audience and be right behind like one of these giant headdresses? Nothing against it. It's really cool, and I'm sure it has like a very important meaning. behind it? I'm not sure. I feel like I'm on thin ice with this joke.
Yes, Tyler, you are.
I mean,
But it's
you're
funny.
trying to see like the king for like the first time in your life. He's like right there in front of you, and Mark Carney and everything. And you're the guy who's right behind the person in the gigantic headdress hat. Like that's unlucky. That's unlucky.
I've always had the greatest
All right.
admiration for Canada's unique identity, which is recognized across the world for bravery and sacrifice in defense of national values.
Now, what I'm going to do, because now I can do it, even though I didn't know what I was doing, I'm going to put up a number 2, because we are, how many minutes in? We are 4 minutes and 39 seconds into the Throne from the Speech. Well, less, because there was an intro. And this is the second time that he has made reference to the situation we're in when he talks about in defense of national values. He's talking about we are distinct from the US. We have our own set of values. So I'm just going to try and keep a running count. Now, let me see here.
The 80th anniversary of VE Day and VJ Day. On Juno Beach, at Dieppe,
Oh.
on the Somme, at Beaumont-Hamel, at Ypres, and on Vimy Ridge.
Mm.
At those places and many others, forever etched into our memories, Canadians fought and died alongside our closest allies.
One thing that may have been missed by some as well is Canadians fought and died alongside their greatest allies.
Mm-hmm.
This is pointing out to the Americans, look, well, when I say Americans, I mean Trump. Let's just be real. He's pointing out that we have defended freedom. We were in the trenches. And in fact, a lot of Americans, I don't think, realize that Canada declared war in September of 39, and the US didn't declare war until December of 41. So
And that was World War II.
in World War II.
Because in World War I, the Americans didn't join World War I until 1917, a year before the war ended.
Yeah.
So the US has always been known for keeping out of it until they get dragged into it. Like if the Japanese had not attacked Pearl Harbor, would the US have joined the war? Probably not.
There was no oil involved. Did I say that out loud? Exactly. But this is, again, the third time that he's made reference to the situation.
Mhm.
So I'll just keep going.
Yeah. He said V-Day. In America, we call it D-Day. I assume those are the same thing, and we're talking about.
No, it's not.
Victory in Europe. Victory in Europe and Victory in Japan Day. 2 different days.
Yeah. VE Day is when they won the war in Europe, or the end of the war in Europe.
In other words, the end of the war against the Nazis.
Exactly. The J Day is the end of the war against Japan.
Mm-hmm.
What we refer to is as D-Day is the day that Allied forces landed in Normandy, France.
Exactly. So hence Juno Beach that the Canadians landed on, the Americans landed on Omaha Beach, etc. The thing is, though, is that of all the military forces that landed at Normandy, Canada was the only army that reached its goal.
Yeah.
Only one.
Yeah.
Aujourd'hui, je vois des élus venant
Today,
d'un bout à l'autre
I
du
see
Canada,
elected members of parliament from all across this country.
à terre.
Whoa!
I like this.
Hold the phone. The king is getting his French on. The king speaks French. Does he? He has. I mean, I think he has it written down. But that's really cool because I know with a lot of these Canadian government events, they do English and French, and I wasn't sure if the king was going to do that, but he's speaking French. Good for you.
From
Yeah. Now, I mean, this is something obviously that Tyler couldn't know, but when it comes to the monarchy, they are required to be bilingual in English and another language. Queen Elizabeth chose French, and obviously so did Charles.
And actually, apparently, he knows 2 other languages.
Sorry, he what?
He knows 2 other languages. He knows 4 languages in total.
Cool.
Yeah. I forget what they were, but yeah.
From St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, Victoria in British Columbia, and Arviat in Nunavut.
While the world faces unprecedented challenges, generating uncertainties across the continents with regards to peace.
I guess we can add another one.
I did a quick look. So Charles speaks English, French, Gaelic, which is Scottish, Welsh, and German.
Oh, there you go. 5. 5 whole ones.
Peace and stability.
Yeah. I can't help but wonder. Like, he hasn't said America. He
yes,
hasn't
he
said
has.
United States
Oh, yes, he has.
at any point so far. But when he says, like, unprecedented instability, it's like, oh God, is he talking about us?
Yes, he is.
Economics and climate change.
Get through.
Canada has dramatically changed.
Yeah, that's another thing about this. I read he's there to like kick off or open parliament. I don't understand that stuff either. Like, parliament is shut down. What is it? The Canadian government is not active right now. It needs to open. I don't really understand what opening parliament means. That implies it is closed, and it's like the government's closed. I don't really understand, but that's okay.
Grace, that one's yours.
Oh, I mean, it's a new session of Parliament, although, as luck would have it, it is also, I mean, like, we just had an election. So, the government is now in session, as it were. But yes, when he talks about opening Parliament, it's a new session of Parliament. Not that the government has been closed down. But it's no different than because right now the Senate and the House of Representatives in the States is now on summer leave. The government's not shut down, but it's just the elected representatives have gone home for the summer.
Yeah.
Repatriating its constitution, achieving full independence, and witnessing immense growth.
It's Trudeau.
Canada.
There's more than just Trudeau sitting there. Did you want to start with?
Sure. All righty. So I'm going to start from the right and move left.
Okay.
So the lady on the far right with the longer kind of brown hair, that is Mila Mulrooney, and she is the widow of former Prime Minister Brian Mulrooney, who served as PM from 1984 to 1990. And then, 1992. Sorry, my bad. And then directly next to her is Margaret Trudeau. And Margaret Trudeau Kemper, actually, is her full name, because she did remarry. But she is Justin Trudeau's mother. And the former Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau's wife. They got divorced when Justin Trudeau was quite young. And take this for what it's worth, but apparently after she divorced Pierre, she and the king, then Prince Charles, apparently got to know each other quite well. So take that for what it's worth.
But yeah, she's got a checkered past. She's been known to party with the Rolling Stones in her youth as well.
Yeah. Anyways, and then of course beside her is former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who just resigned back in January, and then beside him is former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, and he served as Prime Minister between 2006 and 2015. And then directly next to him is former Prime Minister Kim Campbell, and she was the final progressive conservative prime minister in this country. She served for a whopping 2 months back in 1993.
Okay.
Today.
Yeah, I don't really know what Canadians truthfully think about the crown and your ties to Great Britain, the fact that the king is still like the king of Canada, they said, or something earlier. I don't know if anyone like how Canadians really feel about this. It's very interesting to me because in America, like we have nothing to do with kings and royalty, and
Just
it's
a
all
king
that's all
wannabe.
very foreign to me. But I have to say, this is like a cool for me. It is like a cool thing that Canada has, and that this moment is even happening.
What do
So,
Canadians think about the crown?
yeah. So, Canada is what is known as a constitutional monarchy. And what that means is that, like, we have a constitution, we are our own sovereign nation, but our head of state is King Charles III. The other country who is very similar to Canada in that respect is Australia, because both countries have a governor general that is appointed by their prime minister who stands in for the crown during things like speeches from the throne, etc.
How often does a speech from the throne happen?
Speech from the throne happens once a year.
Okay. And because like this is the first time the king's been here and the first time a monarch since 1977, usually what happens is it's the governor general who sits on the throne and gives the
And delivers a speech from the throne. Yes.
yeah, as the king's representative when he's not there.
Yeah, exactly. And the similar thing applies at a provincial level. Once a
Yeah,
year, you have a speech from the throne at the provincial legislatures, and those speeches are delivered by the lieutenant governor,
yeah,
which is a provincial counterpart to the governor general.
yeah. Great.
Canada faces another critical moment.
Who is this?
Okay. First of all, I'm going to change our counter to 5 because we're facing a critical moment, and he's referring again to Trump. But this was I found really interesting. Do you know who that is? Grace?
What?
Do you know who that is?
Oh, actually, I genuinely do not.
I did a search on her picture and I looked her up, and I think this is worth a explanation. She is General Jenny Karanan, who she was she is a trailblazing military leader who shattered glass ceilings and redefined excellence in the armed forces. From her early days as a cadet at the Royal Military College, St. Jean, to commanding combat units in Afghanistan and Iraq, General Karanan's career is a testament to courage, resilience, and unwavering dedication to service.
Iraq? What the heck was she doing in Iraq? Canada
She's
didn't go to Iraq.
She is now chief of defense. Like she's the top military person in charge.
Okay.
So I thought that was really cool.
Oh, that is absolutely cool. I mean, and just look at all her decorations, for crying out loud. But as I say, I'm just a little curious about why was she serving in Iraq? Canada didn't go into
Um,
Iraq. We were in Afghanistan and Afghanistan only.
it says Afghanistan and Iraq.
Huh.
So I
Message me with her name, because I must admit I'm curious now.
yeah, and I can put it in the comments too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go to. I'll just play this for the next 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Who is this? But why are we? We have taken it away from the king to show this person. Who are they?
Democracy, pluralism, the rule of law, self-determination, and freedom are values which Canadians hold dear, and ones which the government is determined to protect.
Mm.
There's number
The
6.
system of open global trade that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for Canadians for decades.
We're talking about free open trade.
I think we can probably add another number.
Oh yeah, that's number 6.
And I just wanted to tell you, Grace, she has served as the chief of the defense staff since July of 2024.
Okay, so not even a year yet then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I am really curious if he's going to make any reference to the United States. I have to be honest.
Where have you been, Tyler?
Just
Selfishly, I am
because
curious.
they're not mentioned by name doesn't mean he's not being mentioned.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't want him to because it would be negative, I imagine. But he's mentioning global trade. Now, it's very arrogant of me to just assume that means America.
No, Tyler, it's not arrogant of you at all. It's the truth.
There's a lot of the globe that is not the United States, and now more than ever, Canada is focusing on those relationships outside of the United States with all the other trade partners in the world.
Decades is changing. Canada's relationships with partners are also changing. Il nous faut confronter la réalité.
We must confront the reality that since the Second World War, our world has never been as dangerous and unstable.
Wow.
Canada is now facing challenges which are unprecedented in our lifetimes.
Wow. He's really saying like this is as bad as it's been since World War II. That's extremely powerful words right there.
Many Canadians are feeling anxious and worried about the drastically changing world around them. Fundamental change is always unsettling.
Even though Tyler is somebody who has went out of his way to learn more about Canada, and he has covered everything from Terry Fox to the Heritage Moments to whatever, I don't think, unless he's just putting it on for the video, I don't know. But I'm surprised that he would actually truly be surprised what this means to Canada. I mean, imagine being the US and having somebody 2-3 times your size threaten your sovereignty. This has been a scary time for Canadians, and it's been a worrisome time. And I don't think the Americans totally get that.
No, I don't think they do either. And the thing is that, the joke has always been the only way that Canadians have ever referred to themselves is how they're not Americans. And that's true. We're not Americans. But events like what we just witnessed yesterday just proves just how different we are from the States. It's just in your face. This is how we're different. But people don't tend to think in those terms until it happens. I mean, have Canadians even really thought about King Charles until this? Probably not, because Canadians have other things to think about.
Yeah.
But King Charles comes to Canada for the express purpose of delivering the throne speech, and Canadians are going, wow. I mean, if you watched, I must admit, I started watching like all the pomp and circumstance from Monday and yesterday kind of thing. And the number of Canadians that were being interviewed by CBC, and they're just saying, I have these memories from when I was 6 or 7 years old, and then, and their kids have brought their grandkids with them because they're going to remember this. Because there's something about the aura of the royal family, as flawed as they are. If you've watched The Crown at all, they are a very flawed family. But that just proves that they're human.
I love the way he positioned it, and I don't think we listened to it here, but in his speech where he talked about the crown is a symbol of our history, and it ties us to our past and into our future, and it's that one continuous thing. And when he phrased it that way, it was like, oh, okay, that's a cool way of looking at it. Okay.
Opportunity by recognizing that all Canadians can give themselves far more than any foreign power on any continent can ever take away.
There's number 8.
8. Yeah.
I mean, I can almost guarantee
Wow.
these probably all went over Trump's head too.
I don't know. Did you hear about his latest rant? He's back
No.
on.
What
he's
about the Golden Dome?
he's back on that the only way they're gonna get the Golden Dome is if they agree to become
The
the
51st state. They'll get it for free. I mean, what I read, that rant of his, it was a sales pitch. That's all it was.
He's anyway. Okay. So
The king is real. This is a good speech, by the way. I don't know if he wrote this himself or had a hand in it. I don't know how that works, but this is a good speech. I like the.
um just to be clear, the speech is broken into basically 3 parts. The first part is written by the king and his, I'm sure anyway,
His staff.
his staff, whoever writes it. The first part, the opening part. Then in the middle is the government's part, and then in the end is the closing from the king. However, both parties, well, I don't know if we get to see the kings or not, but definitely the part that he speaks on behalf of the government, he will have seen it beforehand, he will have approved it beforehand, added anything that he wanted. We'll never know what he added. We'll never know if he took anything away. But what he is reading here is what he has approved and he is willing to say.
Yeah.
Which is important to
Mm-hmm.
understand. Okay.
Words he's saying. And he's really talking like it's a very optimistic. It's realistic and optimistic, and really hyping up what the future for Canada. Really saying how great it can be,
and that by staying true to Canadian values, Canada can build new alliances and a new economy that serves all Canadians.
Excuse me, I'm not really good at this, so I need to stop to change the counter.
There it is. New alliances.
The penny dropped.
Yep.
You can see the light bulb going on and the penny dropping for Tyler there, 17 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
Giving up old ones. I know he's making references to the United States here.
The Prime Minister and the President of the United States, for example, have begun defining a new economic and security relationship between Canada and the United States.
Oh my God, that took me by surprise. I thought he was tiptoeing around the word United States or president this whole time. No, he's just like gonna bring it, just gonna forthrightfully talk about it, which I really appreciate. And it's not even a criticism. It's actually an optimistic outlook. Talking about, I mean,
but the fact that he even put it in the speech to the throne is not a positive thing.
No.
You really have to read between the lines when it comes to speeches like this.
Yeah. Well, and as I say, royal speeches especially.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, because the royals have to be so careful.
Yeah. I was shocked how uncareful he was with this. Like, this is really blatant for a royal speech.
Yep.
And the whole tariff thing has kind of, the whole tariff thing, I don't know, it's just really slowed down, and
reporting on
there's
it
been a lot of pausing. A lot of pausing of the tariffs. It's all on pause. So no one knows where that's going.
Actually, okay, pause it for a sec, because I heard something today that just about killed me. Some journalist in the States has referred to the taco tariffs, the TACO, the taco tariffs.
Trump. Well, I read this too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Trump always chickens out
No wonder he was rampaging on his socials this
Yep.
morning.
But from the king, this is a very optimistic, positive thing to say about the Canada-United States relationship, saying that it is going to get better. So, I mean, whether that's true or not, we
I
shall
wouldn't
see
count
what the
on
man
it, but
says.
Rooted in mutual respect and founded on common interests to deliver transformational benefits for both sovereign nations.
That'd be nice.
Carney really likes that word
Simultanément,
transformational.
He does. But again, both sovereign nations.
Yep.
That'd be
le
very nice.
gouvernement œuvre à
At the same
renforcer ses
time,
relations
the government
avec
is
ses
working to
partenaires
strengthen its
commerciaux
relations
et des alliés
with
fiables,
reliable trading partners and
sachant que
allies,
le Canada possède
knowing
ce
that
dont
Canada
notre
has
monde
what
a
the world
besoin
needs
et défend
and
les
defends the
valeurs
values
que
that the
ce
world
monde respecte.
respects.
Wow. Yeah.
Le Canada est prêt à bâtir
Canada
une
is ready
coalition
to build
de
a
nations
coalition of
qui
nations
partagent ces valeurs,
that share
qui
these
croient
values,
en la
nations
coopération
that believe in
internationale
international
et le
cooperation
libre-échange de biens,
and the free
de
exchange
services
of goods,
et d'idées.
services, and ideas.
So whether the United States is going to come along for the ride or not, Canada is going to create a coalition of nations bent on, defending the free world and emphasizing free global trade. And I mean, this sounds awesome.
Dans ce monde nouveau,
In
qui
this new
évolue
world,
à un rythme frénétique,
which is evolving
le
at a
Canada
frantic
tracera
pace,
la voie à suivre.
Canada will chart the path forward.
La démonstration en sera
Wow.
faite dès juin.
That
Yeah, I think I might have lost track on the counting there. But yeah.
will be
Quand
demonstrated
le
as
Canada
early as
présidera
June
le
when
sommet
Canada
du G7.
chairs the G7 summit.
Oh.
The government is guided by its conviction
Oh, and this is
that the economy is only truly strong when it serves everyone. Many Canadians are struggling to get ahead. The government is responding, reducing middle-class taxes and saving two-income families up to $840 a year.
All right. I am starting to wonder how much of this is like his words, like the king talking, and he's also here to read.
He's into the government part quite
Oh,
heavily.
absolutely. He's been in the government part for a while.
Yeah.
But
The new government
yeah.
outline.
Sorry?
Yeah, no, I forgot what I was going to say now. It wasn't important, obviously.
Sorry, I never know when to start it again. Just stop, just wave if I keep going.
The agenda for the new liberal government, right? Now he's talking about like tax cuts, specific dollar amounts. Doesn't even sound like it just sounds like he is reading off the pamphlet right now.
Which he is
So
doing.
he's like, we're going to save $800. Like,
Yeah.
that's great.
I mean,
and all.
now I remember what I was going to
So
say.
what?
What I found so funny is to hear him talking about middle class tax cuts and GST rebates, and I'm just like, it sounds so funny coming out of his mouth.
Oh, you and Tyler are on the same wavelength.
Uh-huh.
The king is speaking. You have something more important to say?
Sur ces progrès
The
pour créer
government
I want.
Talking about? What are you talking about, man? This guy. He's
It's Rob
talking while the
Canoe.
king is talking. The king is speaking. You have something more important to say?
sur ces progrès
the
pour créer
government
d'ici la
will
fête
I don't know,
du
maybe.
support that progress.
I laugh. Do you want to explain why we're laughing?
Well, I mean, quite frankly, I don't know why you're laughing, but other than the fact that I know he's referring to Wab Canoe, the premier of Manitoba, the first Indigenous premier in Canadian history.
Well, and he's kind of known for being jovial and having a good sense of humor, is he not?
Oh, yeah, absolutely he is.
And
Yeah.
that's what made me laugh is because he's sitting there all happy. He's the
Well,
one.
he has never been one to stand on ceremony by any
No,
stretch.
he's the one who, when they pulled all the American liquor out of Manitoba liquor stores, he signed the act and then did the Trump, and he says, "You guys got to clap." He was
Yeah.
like Trump does when he signs an
His
act.
executive orders, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was really funny.
réel système
By
de
establishing
libre-échange
true
à
free
travers
trade
le pays.
across Canada
Il s'agit d'efforts essentiels
by Canada
pour
Day.
permettre au Canada
These are
de
critical
réaliser
actions
tout son
that will
potentiel
enable Canada
économique,
to realize its
mais cela
full
reste
economic
insuffisant.
potential. But it
Wow.
is not enough.
To build Canada strong, the government is working closely with provinces, territories, and Indigenous peoples to identify and catalyze projects of national significance.
He goes on to talk a little bit about, the states see themselves as more as one of America, whereas it sounds like Canada is much more separate and divided. And I don't agree with that, except maybe Alberta, but we're weird. The provinces have the say over their resources, their natural resources and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have the ability to tax their products, import taxes or whatever they're called interprovincially. But everything else, like for example, in the States, one state can have the death penalty and the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
In Canada, that is decided at the federal level. All of the criminal stuff is decided at the federal level. The provinces enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, which is why we have a Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Yep.
The RCMP are federal. Excuse me. So I don't know. I think in this area it's kind of weird, but overall it's not as separate as it sounds.
No. No, it's not.
To be truly strong, Canada must be secure. To that end, the government will introduce legislation to enhance security at Canada's borders.
Oh.
Law enforcement and intelligence agencies will have new tools to stop the flow of fentanyl and its precursors.
Oh, Canada is hitting us with the Uno reverse card. Because I know it was Trump that said, like, oh, we're going to do tariffs because the border sucks and Canada brings all this fentanyl into the United States. No, no, no. Reverse. Canada is going to stop the fentanyl flowing from the US into Canada.
Because that's where most of it comes
And
from.
there's this whole new border security plan. And when we talk about a border, Canada has like one border, right? As far as I'm aware of. It's just talking about us, the United States here, the border with us, strengthening it against us.
The Canada Border Services Agency will be given new powers to examine goods.
I want to know what those new powers are. That sounds very interesting.
Destined for export to prevent the transport of illegal and stolen products, including cars.
We're talking about exports? So Canada is cracking down on illegal stuff imported and exported from Canada too.
Le gouvernement protégera la souveraineté du Canada.
The government will protect the sovereignty of Canada by rebuilding, rearming, and reinvesting in the Canadian Armed Forces.
I'm just
Now this is getting juicy. Seriously. Protecting the sovereignty of Canada also means one thing: protecting it against the United States, which is the most obvious threat to Canada's sovereignty, based on very obvious, very vocal things said by the US government, Donald Trump, against Canadian sovereignty. So when he says efforts to reinforce and protect Canada's sovereignty, to me, that's literally saying, like, Canada is building its military to fight off any threat from the United States. God forbid it ever got anywhere close to that scenario. But I would imagine for Canadians in this day, with everything that's been said and happened, I'd imagine Canadians are kind of liking this.
Again, I don't think the Americans truly understand the ramifications of what Trump has done.
Hmm.
We used to have the longest unmilitarized border in
Unguarded. Yeah.
or unguarded border in the world, and that's about to change big time.
The government will always protect the rights and freedoms that the Charter guarantees for every Canadian. The government will be a reliable partner to Indigenous peoples, upholding its fundamental commitment to advancing reconciliation. Central to this commitment is the creation of long-term wealth and prosperity with Indigenous peoples. For that reason, the government will double the Indigenous Loan Guarantee Program from $5 billion to $10 billion.
Wow. I mean, it's really impressive how much attention and care Canada brings to the Indigenous populations of Canada and like the First Nations and the tribes. And in the United States, I don't think our government.
Sorry.
Only that, I mean, he's right. I mean, I'll give the government kudos for this, but honest to God, this has been forced on them. The government would never act with this kind of positive action unless they're forced. And that's just because that's the way the government of Canada is, no matter who is in power.
I like to think that it becomes more expected and less being forced, just as it becomes more routine and whatnot. And I think it's also important to note that there's a reason why it is like this today, and it is because of our poor history with Indigenous peoples in the past.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean,
the U.S. has a very similar past. In fact, we got the idea for residential schools from the Americans. I wanted to make sure I was giving the right information, but in 1801, according to the U.S. Department of Interior, first federal Indian boarding school was established in the U.S. Excuse me. It was 1842 when Canadian residential schools were proposed, and it was 1846 when let me read to you what they said. The Indian Affairs Superintendent at the General Council of Indian Chiefs Municipal Men said, "It's because you do not feel or know the value of education. You would not give up your idle, roving habits to enable your children to receive instruction. Therefore, you remain poor, ignorant, and miserable. It is found you cannot govern yourselves, and if left to be guided by your own judgment, you will never be better off than you are at the present, and your children will ever remain in ignorance. It has therefore been determined that your children shall be sent to schools where they will forget their Indian habits and be instructed in all the necessary arts of civilized life and become one with your white brethren."
I know. The thing is that's not news. Unfortunately, that's not news.
It's news to some people.
You know, I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, John A. Macdonald said as much when he was prime minister.
Yeah. But a lot of people
horrible. And I personally am thrilled that the Indigenous people now are throwing their weight around because it needed to be thrown around.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I think, the end of it as far as what we can cover. I mean, he goes on and there's some other pieces and whatnot, but that is the main gist. And again, if you are interested, please make sure and go over and check out Tyler's channel, and I'll put a link to that in the comment section so that you can check it out. And we also have a video where we covered the entire throne speech, and you can go and check that out. I'll put that link as well.
Alrighty.
Alrighty.
Okay, awesome. Well, good night.
See ya, eh?
Yeah.